So that's all we do, is we just help law firms make more money using subscriptions.
All right, we're back. Round two. Last time we discussed the billable hour and you as a subscription attorney, and we're just getting ready to talk about the original thing, which is Practi. Tell us about Practi. So what is it? How would you describe it? And what was it that made you feel like this needed to exist?
Yeah, so I'll even start with the last question, because when I was getting started with my firm over 4 years ago, I've been operating Subscription Attorney LLC for about 4 years now, but obviously I thought about it for a lot longer before that. It was all the way back in 2018 when I first started to do research on the subscription model for legal services. Back then, the solution was start a podcast because I'm gathering resources, and that's where like Law Subscribed came from. And then when I went to go start my firm, it was like, gosh, there is no technology that exists that's built for what I think needs to happen with subscription billing for legal services. And I learned a lot over the last 4 years, and my pricing has changed, and I've learned a ton from having the Law Subscribed podcast, from other lawyers who are doing it in different practice areas, in different ways, in different jurisdictions, litigation, transactional, right? Like all different, like runs the gamut, right? And some technology has come out in that time that makes it easier to do subscription for legal services. There's even been some technology that's come out that lets you do subscriptions as consultants or content creators, but there's a lot of fee sharing that we can't do as lawyers. And so really, like, me starting Practi was a way for me to create not like an all-in-one solution for law firms or another legal AI tool, because there's already so many of them. It was just like how Calendly is feature rich in scheduling, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of scheduling tools out there. That's like a bundled feature now with Google and Microsoft. But if you want feature rich, if you want to go deep at a reasonable price for a best of breed product, you go with Calendly. I wanted to do that for subscription billing for law firms. And I wanted to make it a super reasonable price because we're trying to transition the profession away from the billable hour. And look, will the billable hour fully die? I hope so. But I think in the next 3 to 5 years, and this is what Ted and I talked about, is it's just not going to be the dominant business model anymore, because the exponential growth curve of efficiencies with AI make it so law firms will be losing money and not be able to survive. So some of this is like a save the profession mission with Practi. That's what the podcast was. But with the podcast came one-on-one coaching for me and helping other lawyers like launch subscription practices. Some of it was paid, some of it was free. I just wanted to have more lawyers do it, but that's not scalable. Software is scalable, as you know, starting back-end software business, right? So that's all we do, is we just help law firms make more money using subscriptions.
Yeah, I like the comparison to Calendly. So in the same way Calendly does the scheduling, you allow subscription attorneys to plug in a simple way to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's free to make an account, and it's even free to get your first subscriber. You know, there's payment processing fees, but we don't see any of that. Stripe sees all that, right? So we want to make it really simple for lawyers to go sign up, get some return on investment before they've even invested anything. And then we start charging right now. I don't know when people are seeing this, but in our early access phase, it's only $20 a month. And so later this year, we don't know when, that will go up to $100 a month. But we still think that's a bargain for being able to, in a no-code, simple to use platform, really easy user interface, start getting recurring revenue for your law firm.
Yeah. So is there a free level, or is that just temporary, the free level?
Well, we would love to keep the free level available as long as we can. Obviously, it's a startup. You never know what's going to happen. As long as the billable hour is the dominant business model, I think we're going to do our best to keep that free level of create your account for free, build out subscriptions for free, even get your first subscribing client before Practi starts charging. We're going to try to keep that available as long as possible. Part of that is my experience as being a law firm owner, 4 years, and getting pitched and sold on legal tech in demo calls. Like, our pricing's on our website, same as my law firm, you know? Like, we're not trying to hide the ball. We're not trying to play the game like other legal tech. Pricing is transparent. So whatever the pricing is, it will always be transparent at practi.ai or, you know, whatever URL we may have in the future. This is early days. But the goal is make it stupid simple and stupid easy for law firms to just try out subscription billing and see the benefits of it.
Okay, so if somebody's listening who's still very traditional, hourly billing, maybe a little bit of AI sprinkled in, what's the lowest risk way you tell them to start playing with Practi or the Practi style approach?
Yeah, I mean, look, go make your free account, at least get your free backlink back to your website, right? Like, Like, you could put in your scheduling link and your website link to link back to. If you have your own website, if you're old school, and if you're old school, you probably don't manage your own website or like go and edit it whenever you want, like I do with my no-code website builder, right? So you probably pay like a dev shop or like a website provider. We give you these embed codes on Practi. So if you don't want to use your free Practi URL that you also get, you could embed those links on your website. So when you update things on Practi, that link, if you update your prices or whatever, you don't have to go in and like figure out how to use Stripe or payment processors or whatever. But we do have templates on Practi to like just get started. They're not necessarily best practice because it's impossible right now to come up with best practice in a nascent sort of billing model for legal services for every single practice area in every single jurisdiction, right? Because like part of that is defining your ideal client that you want to serve and then backing into, okay, like what's ongoing value I could provide them? Even if you're like a litigator, hey, guess what you're probably really good at that you never thought of before? You just didn't know how to charge for it. Litigation avoidance, right? Like I could help you avoid litigation because I know everything that happens in litigation. So I know when things go wrong. And if you're willing to pay me, X amount a month, you talk to me before there's a problem or before you sign that contract or before you receive a demand letter because there's a dispute or, that complaint, right? I'm going to help you with litigation avoidance. So whatever practice area it is, you can find out a way to do that. Actually, it's a shame we're recording when we are because 2 days from now, I will have a resource available to all Practi users, even if you have a free account.
I'm going to post this a little bit later. So I'll send it to the editor. So it'll probably be live.
Maybe I'll share the link with you, for you to share with people who see it. But if you sign up for Practi for free, I'm putting together a curated notebook in Notebook LM that has all of the sources that I think would be relevant. So you could like ask the questions like, okay, I'm an immigration attorney in New Jersey. What do you recommend? And it's going to be based off of all my podcast episodes, articles I've written, some other stuff I've written up, and some other data that I have that's not necessarily easily accessible and findable out there on the internet. And like, could you go build your own notebook and do this? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe you can, like 90% of it, right? But the point is we're going to give it away for free for all Practi users. And so if you don't know, I'm going to do like, we're going to have these recurring scheduled. And again, like it's a startup. We're a month and a half into having soft launched, right? At the time of recording. So much is happening. We're going to have a regularly occurring group like Zoom session with me and all the Practi users. And we're going to like, they're not going to be recorded. And we're going to figure out, like, I'm going to answer people's questions and like, oh yeah, like let's try subscriptions. Here's my advice for trying subscriptions there. So it's kind of like group coaching, but you just have to have your free Practi account to like get into the program, right? So we're going to have those group coaching sessions with me. We're going to have this notebook resource available when it's in between those group coaching sessions. So we're going to try to make it as easy as possible. And then over time, as we gather more data in this agentic AI world that we're in, we'll probably be able to make some really good AI-based suggestions on what your subscription pricing should be after you answer a few questions in like a natural language interface. But we're not there yet, right? We're not there yet. So for now, it's a little bit more old school. But mechanically speaking, if you are already using subscriptions, I know this doesn't go to your question of the old school guy, right? But if you're already using subscriptions, we have lawyers on the platform that they were already using subscriptions. They came on the platform, they copied and pasted from their website. They were rocking and rolling in a few minutes. Right? So like, especially for those mature firms that are already thinking about alternative fees, like Practi is primed and ready for you to start getting that recurring revenue like right away, right? And you could have $0 a month subscriptions, on Practi. They still have to check out using a Stripe checkout so that you have the credit card on file, right? In the secure stored Stripe way. And we use Stripe because they're the leaders in this space. And you could do a $1 a month subscription, which frankly I think is better because it's consideration. Those of us who practice contract law, like we know, like it's good to have some consideration, even if a $1 a month subscription, and then offer all your fixed fees, right? So even if you're a fixed fee shop, I think there's still really great ways to leverage Practi, but we do require that the client subscribes because it does create that attorney-client engagement. And when they're checking out, they're agreeing to your terms, and they could click on that link or copy and paste that link, and they can, I think right now it's copy and paste that link to see what your terms are before they check out and sign up. And so that is, I think, really important too, because a lot of lawyers will engage clients without having terms. Technically, if you don't put in your terms of service on Practi, they're still not agreeing to anything, but the best practice is have engagement terms that go in there. Some firms may want to send them as a follow-up after getting the subscription, but we think best practice is have broadly applicable terms, and if you need to refine them down, not legal advice, just business advice, refine them down to the particular client if you need to, but have some broad subscription terms that are applicable to any client who comes on. So sorry, I know I gave you a lot there.
So very interesting. So I'll definitely be interested in tuning in those estate planning ones. Every time I talk to you, your stuff gets the gears spinning about subscriptions. Trying to think of ways that I could add them to my practice. So it sounds
with estate planning, if I may, with estate planning, I think annual subscriptions or even quarterly subscriptions are really great. We don't have that built into Practi right now. Right now, all the subscriptions are month to month. We do have on the roadmap annual subscriptions. So definitely in a few months, we'll be able to do annual subscriptions. That's been our next most requested iteration, time frame.
Yeah.
Quarterly might come after that, because with an annual subscription, you got your annual check-in, with your client you just did an estate plan for. And then if they need any follow-up, codicils or amendments or anything like that, then it's a below market fee. If you charge $500 for that, well, it's $400 if you're on the annual plan, right? And that annual plan guarantees you those other lower rates for more work at tier 1 and an annual check-in. Well, at tier 2, it's an even lower annual rate, or it's even lower rate for a higher annual fee, 2 check-ins a year. But at the top tier 3 premium annual subscription, you get 4 check-ins, right? A quarterly check-in. And when they need work to be done, you just do the work. You don't charge any extra fees. Now that's done at a premium, right? So if it's $1,000, if it's $500, then $1,000, then we're talking $5,000 a year, right? So they're actually paying a super premium on top of that, not just a simple multiple to get that I don't care. I just want to pay you a big amount of money right now. We meet 4 times a year. When I need you to do work, you just do that work for me. They pay a premium. Some clients, you're going to do a little more work. Some clients, you're going to do a little less. You start looking at the portfolio of clients instead of at just that one client. And estate planning is a really good example of that, right? To talk about that. But that you can extrapolate that and really apply it to a lot of practice areas.
Yeah, I was thinking more in the terms. So estate planning, it's almost like a lost leader. That's why all the annuity guys and everyone else is kind of getting into the space. But there's more money made on the trust administration and on the probate. So I was thinking of a subscription more as a way, a really low one, just to kind of stay in front of my clients, just as a way where just so I stay top of mind and they get some services. But I think most of them, they would have to engage for at kind of the regular rates when needed, or some sort of discount.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really good idea. I mean, obviously my $20 a month subscription, it's not like I'm making a ton of money on the $20 a month subscription. But instead of thinking it as a loss leader, I think of it as a marketing earn, right? Instead of me spending $20 a month to be in front of people, I'm making $20 a month to be in front of people. So yeah, you could think of it as a loss leader, but it is revenue. And when the people contact you, you issue spot for them, they're going to hire you to do work for them. Right? I still charge $50 a page or all the fixed rates that are available to see on my website for the listed prices, right? So I have a client who subscribed 2 months ago at $20 a month. He schedules weekly calls with me and sends me work to do. I've made thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, that's great. So you get them to pay instead of you paying to market to them.
Yeah.
That's great. So let's move on. I got to get another appointment in 2 more minutes. There's
Sure.
2 more things I want to get to, but let's zoom out. Let's talk about AI in general. So what's exciting to you versus what do you think is hype? But what do you think is the most exciting practical tools right now?
Yeah, so the Comet browser, which is the agentic browser by Perplexity, is just killer. I mean, it is awesome. Yeah, Comet, like a meteor, Comet browser. I'm a pro subscriber to Perplexity. I pay $200 a year, or you could pay $20 a month. It's multimodal, but the agentic features are amazing, right? So you could vibe with the assistant, like there's an AI assistant in your browser, and you could come up with new intake questions. And then you could say, great, now go open up a Google form, put in these intake questions, and I want short paragraph answers for everything, and connect it to a Google Sheet. And it will go and do that. And it takes just as long as it would for a human to do that. But you go do something else, right? I had 2 monumental tasks yesterday. I'm building out this notebook I told you about. I gave it my YouTube page for Law Subscribed. And I said, I want every single YouTube video link without any duplicates, because I have both some audio and video versions for episodes 1 through 165, I think is what's published. And I want them in an easy copy and pasteable format for me to put in a notebook and Notebook LM. And it took it 15 minutes, but it went off and it did all the copying and pasting into a single thing that I could just click one button that copies all of them and paste them all. And that was 206 links. Think about what that would have taken for a human to go and do that. Probably longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah, boring hours.
Seriously. And in 10 to 15 minutes, I don't know because I went off and I did something else, right? But in 10 to 15 minutes, it had all those links ready to go. Copy and paste it in. And then in a few minutes, my notebook is locked and loaded with all those podcast episodes, right? It's just anything you could do in a browser, Comet browser can do if you instruct it. And there's dangers to that, but I only give it access to do things like that one at a time. So I'll give it a task. We'll talk about a task. I'll give it a task and say, can I take over your browser now? And I could say all the time. I just give you carte blanche permission to take over my browser, but I don't do that. I'm a lawyer. So I just click just this time. Go ahead and do it. So definitely not hype. Definitely awesome. Definitely use Comet browsers, agentic features. Anything a human could do in a browser, it can do. And then what's hype right now is OpenClaw. These agentic bots, like it's definitely not ready for prime time. Definitely not ready for legal. Will it be ready? Oh, sure. Right. Like, but even at the exponential growth curve that we're on, I would still say like 6 months. Right. I'd still say like there's no need for you to get so obsessed over OpenClaw right now. Wait for 6 months. There's going to be a lot of companies that spin up around it, that make it more secure, that make it more user friendly. You don't need to know how to use GitHub. You don't need to buy a Mac Studio. Like there's going to be ways to manage this. So like right now, it's a lot of hype for a lot of risk. I'd say stay away from it for now.
Yeah, I love it. That would have saved me $600 a week ago. I bought my Mac Mini. I tried installing on a cloud, Agent 37. And I realized, man, this is hard. I still bought a Mac Mini, and I'm really curious about how the possibilities. But yeah, I would agree with you. It's hype. Definitely excited to check out Comet. After hearing your discussion on your legal AI show, but when you guys talked about the different models that you're using, I switched to Perplexity and have been really impressed. I was really deep in ChatGPT, but I've been really impressed by the Perplexity just because it gives you all the other models. And so I'll definitely check out Comet.
Yeah. I just had to do a business trip and I put all my receipts, all my PDFs into Perplexity and I said, create an expense report for me. And sometimes I like to give better prompts, but I know it knows what an expense report is. And not only did it give me an expense report, but it actually had multiple tabs in the Excel file that it automatically, I didn't even tell it to give it to me in an Excel file. It just automatically did. It had multiple tabs breaking everything down. And it did it that was an instantaneous one. That was like 6 receipts, expense report for a little over $1,000, like ready to submit right away, like in a couple minutes, right? I mean, it's amazing. Perplexity is phenomenal.
Yeah, I do like how you can output right into documents, and it'll let you choose the type of document you want to output into. So pretty cool. Yeah. All right, so let's so last thing I want to touch on. So the conversation with Ted, he brought up about Rule 5.4 and the legal ownership. I don't know if you're aware of this, but did you know that we got rid of Rule 5.4 in Arizona?
Oh, yeah. Alternative business structures, for sure. There's a lot of regulatory hurdles, but if you could cross them, yeah, I've had Alan Rodriguez on.
Separate rules, actually. Two separate rules.
Oh.
So if you go in the Arizona rules and look for Rule 5.4, it's gone. So meaning, so they have the ABS rules too, which there's a lot of licenses and things you have to do. But also in Arizona, we're allowed to share fees with non-attorneys. So it's pretty interesting. It's changed the game. People are aware of it. I went to the ABA Legal Tech Show last year, and people saw my Arizona badge, and they're like, "Hey," especially like a lot of the investors are like, "Hey, let's start an ABS." So people are aware of it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that as far as the business structure? Have you ever heard of any of the practice management companies? Like I basically followed what dentists do and medical do because they have the same issue, or they had the same issue. So in many states, you have to be a dentist to own a dental practice. So are you familiar with those models?
I'm not familiar with the dentist stuff, but here's what I'll say. I'll say, like, in Illinois, right, like, I am just generally very protective of my law license. I've been asked to do business with, like, ABSs and those types of entities before. And in Illinois, I think it's pretty – in some places it's clear and in others it's a gray area. But in gray area, I take the risk-averse approach where, like, I can't still work with firms that are fee splitting with non-lawyers, right? It's like if an ABS is doing that, I can't work with them. And that might be a little bit of an being cautious, but my law license at a Practi, when Practi takes off, this won't be true, but my law license is still the most valuable thing I have, right? So like, it's just not worth the risk for me. But that's from a business decision as a practicing attorney law firm owner. At a big picture, I think we should get rid of the rule because I'm paying for software. Where's that money coming from? Legal fees. Right? Like, come on, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is such an old school thing. Like, I think it's an old rule that needs to be abolished across the board. As long as it's there, I'm going to comply with it, right, for my state. But I think if we get rid of the fee sharing prohibition, you don't need alternative business structures, right? You don't need non-lawyer ownership of law firms. Like, that's the one hurdle because you could enter into partnership agreements and other types of business agreements. Like, you don't need non-lawyer ownership of law firms. So I think that's the one rule that if we got rid of it, that would be just super great for explosion of the profession, but also like helping close the access to justice gap.
Yeah. So here's how the practice management works. All the practicing law is done by the lawyer, and then all the management side is done by non-lawyers. The key there is it can't be a percentage. It has to be a per use. So that's legal. As long as it's a flat monthly fee and then a per use, that works in all the states. You just can't call it a percentage. So I feel like right now it's just a little bit more of a challenge to come up with how you do that fee structure, because usually what you're trying to do is some percentage that you're trying to back into, right? Like it's usually around like 40%. So it's like, all right, like if we, how do we back into this based on a flat fee per use? So.
Yeah. And you just, I guess, make a good educated guess because it has to actually be a flat fee. Like this MSO structure that's been popping up, Y Combinator just backed like 3 different AI native law firms that use that structure that you just described.
So that has been done in legal. That was my other question. Have you heard of that in legal?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like the Managed Service Organization, MSO. And I just had one of the co-founders of General Legal, which is one of these YC-backed law firms, AI native law firms, on the podcast. Like YC isn't investing in the law firm, it's investing in the MSO that manages all the tech and ops. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So that the word is spreading. To me, I feel like that's the future. That's the easy way. So then you can have a real tech-enabled company and modern business practices without the ownership problems. So
it's an option, man. It's an option. And one of the reasons we started Practi is so that law firms that just want to start using subscriptions and get that recurring revenue, like without having to do all this complicated business structure, is they could just do it that way, right? So like, sure, you could do that if that's what you want to do and you want to go seek investment as a law firm and you want to get outside capital, you could set that up. But if you just want a lifestyle business as a law firm owner and you want to serve latent legal market clients that have less money but also smaller problems, like it's not a bad life to live in a low 6-figure income with predictable revenue for your firm. And you're actually helping people. Yeah.
I got to run, Matthew. Let everyone know, where can they find you?
Yep. Search the subscription attorney, Mathew Kerbis on LinkedIn. Practi.ai is the software company. Check out Practi.ai, make your free account.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care.